Hey guys, thanks for coming and checking out the first full episode of The Renters. I figured a great way to start out this series with the first full episode is to ask the obvious question, and that is a deer hunting lease right for you? When it comes to hunting properties, at least for DIY, there are really 4 different styles that you can go off of. You can either own land, you could have a permission property, you could hunt public land, or you could have a hunting lease. Okay, let's start with owned land. What are the positives? When you invest in any type of property, it's only going to go up in value. Another positive of owning hunting land is the fact that you can manage it how you want. When you've put in all that work to have a deer management strategy and food plots and timber management and all those projects that you can do on your own property, you can't really get that with most leases, and especially not with most permission properties, and certainly not with public land. Now, with the drawbacks of owning hunting land, the first thing is the barrier to entry of having enough money to be able to buy a chunk of dirt. The other drawback to owning land is it can be a lot of work. It can be a burdensome amount of work, especially if you don't have anybody to help you. Those are all things to consider when it comes to owning hunting land. So we'll jump to the permission properties next. Permission properties can be great because usually you're not having to make any kind of transaction. Maybe you're trading some work, or maybe someone's just letting you hunt their property. I have several permission properties, but really I only focus on that for turkey hunting because I can come and go. I'm not as worried about things changing or other people being there or losing the property. I try to build up a bunch of those, and people aren't as squirrely about giving you turkey hunting permission as they are deer hunting permission. So the downside to permission properties is you really don't have any level of control. So you get permission one day, you could lose it the next day. One last downside of permission properties is usually you can't really do anything to them. You might be able to put up stands and cut some shooting lanes, but aside from that, a lot of times you probably can't do food plots or make any material changes to the land. The third type of setup for DIY hunting is, of course, public land. And the positives are, in most parts of the country, there's a lot of public land. That's great because you can kind of run around and just do things a little bit recklessly. If you want to just bounce around from place to place, you don't have to be as concerned about certain things. Entrance and exit routes. You're more so kind of hunting against your competition, which would be other hunters. And don't get me wrong, hunting public land can be great. It can be an awesome experience, especially if you know how to do it right. Your main investment with hunting public land is time. The last thing I'll say about public land, which isn't necessarily a big deal, the incidents are pretty minuscule in the scheme of things, but it matters to some people, and that would just be the safety factor for it. It can be a great experience, it's just that you really don't have much control of the situation. And finally, that brings us to leased land. Getting into a hunting lease has a lot of benefits. There are other things oftentimes that you can do, small improvements like putting in water holes, or something as simple as putting in rubbing trees or scrape trees, or being able to maybe liberally cut shooting lanes a little bit more than you could on other places. Put out box blinds, that sort of thing. And you also have the control over the property based on what's in your contract. So there's an agreement there. There's an agreement in place about who's going to be doing what and when. So ultimately, you can control your deer hunt a lot better and just have a lot less stressful experience for your deer season. One of the other things I really love about having a deer hunting lease is you can come and go as you please. The last thing I'll say about it is a hunting lease gives you that level of flexibility, so you can either be in it for the short term or potentially the long term, depending on how things go. Now, I'm going to sort of go back on what I just said about some of that. And the thing about a hunting lease, like any agreement, is it's still not the level of security that you would have if you own hunting land. And with that, the investments that you put into it could be pulled out from underneath you as well. So I got a box blind right here. You equip a property with a bunch of stands and box blinds, and you put all this work into it, and then maybe somebody passes away, God forbid, or maybe somebody just decides for whatever reason that they don't want to have people out there renting their property anymore for hunting. Technically you could lose it. So you got to be cognizant of that. There's always a little bit of risk involved, but in my opinion, the positives of having a deer hunting lease, as I've seen over my experience during the last 5 years, far outweigh the negatives if you do things right out of the gate. In the coming weeks, we're going to give you some more advice in this series. Come back, check it out, subscribe to the YouTube channel, make sure you don't miss any of the episodes. If you are interested in having a deer hunting lease, we're going to give you a lot more tips and advice to do it the right way.